Professor Rossi is a professor of Russian literature in Milan, and she's a partner of Memorial Italy. We are talking about Russia, of course, and we have done it in the last few years for the issue of Ukraine. But let's not forget that something more happened in Russia, and Memorial was closed some days ago. Unfortunately, the appeal was rejected. And Professor Rossi, can you tell us quickly what Memorial is and what kind of activities it has organized for remembrance and what has happened in the last few months? Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I am a member of Memorial Italy, which is an independent Italian association that is inspired to the principles of the Russian Memorial, and it now has the form of an international memorial that was, of course, liquidated. It was dissolved. So, what kind of consequences will be produced for the library and for the building hosting it in Moscow? This will be clear only in 10 days. We don't know yet. So far, the staff has worked in the museum, in the library, and also in the archives that are very valuable for Russian scholars, for international scholars. And only in 10 days we will know what will happen. And we risk having seizure, but of course, we are afraid they could be seized, and digitization is underway, but many of the tools cannot be digitized completely. The memorial was born during the years of perestroika, Gorbachev's perestroika, based on the initiative of Peace Nobel Prize scientist Sakharov, who was confined, was isolated many years, and then he went back, and he was the first president of Memorial. And then it grew, and it acquired international value only because these topics apply to all humanity, not only to Russia, not because it was born upon Western initiatives and because it was against the regime. It was a spontaneous initiative of citizens who wanted to clarify what had happened to their relatives. So they wanted to recreate some destinies that had got lost, and they wanted to accumulate some materials and some documents. So the fact that Memorial had to declare that he was a foreign agent that was accused of not respecting the rules is something that was likely to lead to the accusation of not complying with it. So, in this very moment, International Memorial was closed, and the one for human rights is still pending a ruling, and we already know what it will be. And some independent premises survive in Russia, but also some external ones in France, in Italy, and especially the Italian one, because it does not depend on Memorial, and it does share all principles and collaborate with that. So Memorial, in the, of course, public minister discourse asking for closing of Memorial, the actual crime Memorial was accused of was not linked to procedure. It was linked to ideology, that is, to mudding the Russian people by disseminating lies. So one can also understand the process of elimination and also tainted memory in current Russia, something that we have also seen in the words of President Putin talking about Ukraine that applied to the process of remembrance in the country. It is true. The issue was memory, remembrance. So when it comes to people, also common people, not only scholars, the need to reconstruct history and to remember what had happened in Soviet Union, but in particular during Stalin's period, still exists. But one always has to make a difference between private and official plan. So at the official level, no discourse of memory has ever existed. And sometimes the official discourse has tried to create a glorious story, and this has demonstrated the attitude of being part of the enemy. And so we can say that this part of Memorial was a part of the process, and it was not necessarily linked to that. And so this morning at Montestella Garden, we honored Mrs. Ginsburg, and we remember her work because she actually talked about that. So what is the role of Ginsburg, of Mrs. Ginsburg, in the discourse of this, and what can we do for prevention of genocide on the discourse of remembrance memory? Thank you. In 1967, they were among the first memoirs of Stalinist purges, and so they were. Solzhenitsyn was reflecting on that, and she was one of the first women writing, and this proved the destiny. She was talking about the destiny of women in lagers, and they were considered as the women, the wives or children of the people. She was considered as an enemy of the people, and she had involved her husband and her parents. And her testimony is really important because she tried to remember everything. So her huge work is very accurate, detailed, and was proven to be true. And of course, people like you or not, but she did believe in good and in the possibility of winning against evil and resisting in resilience. And so this was resistance. She was also lucky. But this can be a testimony, and maybe this the fact that her surname was that, well, she was not persecuted as a Jew, but during the war she was saved. And she could prove that she was Russian. She was Jew, but Russian. And that was one of the very rare cases. And so she was not a righteous, and she was not a victim or a savior of the Holocaust. But this proves this is a testimony for humanity, regardless of her religious orientation, and she also proved her faith in good, and her, of course, positive humor can be a tool to prevent all that. Well, it's hard to express, but it can save us somehow. Thank you very much.